Everyone, do we have some spicy content for you today? No, I don't have anything really planned around that other than maybe a little bit of spice today. It'll be fun. Respectful spice. We like respectful spice around here. I am Max. Welcome to the RHMax channel. People who have been here for a while, are you not entertained? People who have just joined and don't know what anyone's talking about. That might be for a good thing, actually. It's can be for good or bad. Got a great panel today. This is basically the new open mic format I'm trying. So essentially just did some invites beforehand, community people, otherwise have projects or TA or otherwise talk about. We've got a gentleman here who's been on a lot of streams, who's basically here for support and to make sure that any interesting topic come up. I know he's got some good input on that, so I get to bring him in a second as well. But yeah, this is open mic. In general, I think we got a pretty full panel today, but you never know. I may drop the link in the chat. We'll see. I'm going to keep it optional. I'm going to keep it link optional. How about that? We'll see. I mean, sometimes I just need bodies, and sometimes, we got a full panel. I don't like to have 8 people up here. My personal preference, I like to have, I think I can full people rather than, I've had 8 or 10 people on screen before. It's just a lot of crosstalk and a lot of just, it can go in 5 hours. I don't have 5 hours. I got an hour and 8 minutes. So we try to bring you the best content I can for an hour and 8 minutes. So that's what we're going to get into. Without further ado, get to chat in just a moment. Welcome to the show for the first time, YellowCake. Back to the show, Chrispyman. Boom. Zambonii for his premiere as well. And Fast Abdul, the fastest talking man that likes brides and everything in between the chats. How's it going, man?
Hey guys, good to see you.
Thanks for the invite.
Squirrel.
Of course.
There you go, red squirrel.
Squirrel's he's usually first or fifth in the chat. One of those. Usually not second.
The squirrel.
Squirrel's here. We got Camel dancing in the chat. Camel leading, one of those. Connor Morrison, how's it going? Hope to see some cool fractals today. Is that a shout out to Zambonii? It could be. TikTok. You know what? I don't have a concept of being late because that reasons. That's why. I stream when I can. Strong Kyber, how's it going? Fox Maulders here. Welcome. What's up, man? And we're back. Yeah, everyone, we'll get to comments in a minute, but I want to introduce a couple people if you haven't been on the show before. Start with YellowCake and go to Zambonii, but can you just give us a quick intro? I know some people around the community know who you are, but I don't. Glad to meet you today. Glad you come on. So, you want to kick us off, YellowCake?
Yeah, you bet. Yeah, thanks for having me. I was a day one Hexican. I used to, before it was called Hex and Bitcoin Hex, I used to argue with Richard in a constructive way. I used to just wanted to learn everything about it, and then so I can help out the community. And I've been around since the beginning. Always wanted to build on chain. I took some Ivan on tech courses last bull cycle, then hooked up with Fast Abdul, and we're finally doing it here. So I'm just really happy to be in the community with the people that are left wanting to start at the beginning with PulseChain and grow together. So exciting.
Awesome. Yeah, I've only heard of this business partner of Fast Abdul from time to time, and glad to have you on the show. And I've seen you on streams and stuff before too, but pretty interesting. We'll get into two fucks and how all the fucks momentarily, but yeah, cool. Glad you come on today and get to chat with you. Zambonii, how's it going, man?
Yeah, it's going good. Thank you for having me on here. So for me, I think I joined crypto kind of around right after COVID, or a few months after COVID, kind of around right before Bitcoin started popping off, and then I got into the Richard Hart community, the Hex community around like PulseX launch. I got into that, unfortunately. And I just got really I just dived into the community really hard and gotten all the the community sacrifices like Power City, Internet Money, and all that really fun stuff. And just like love the community. I love going to all the telegrams and learning from everybody. And it's a very sticky community, and that's why I'm still here. And I just love all the projects and just learning about the tech and of course the gains. But yeah, I'm really into not only like the kind of the DeFi technical stuff, but also just charting and price and stuff like that. I really like doing technical analysis, but I have my own methods, and yeah, I'm excited to share that today. So
awesome, man. Glad you can make it. Yeah, we have always like to have the chats with local hexicans and stuff. Again, anyone in the community, if you have if you live in a city or live near one or otherwise, see if you have a local chapter or a local group, Telegram or otherwise, where people meet. It's so much better, like talking to people in real life and interacting than just only over the internet or Twitter otherwise. So
yeah, that's how I met RHMax, is because I'm in the Seattle, Washington HEX community. So
we like to rock it. We like to have events, like to have fun. It's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool group. I really enjoy it. Yeah, and just on the note on the PulseX, you know what? We got a benevolent whale out there pumping the shit out of the ecosystem. So I hope that everyone who's rightfully so in a way of paper losses, whatever, maybe many people sold, many people left or otherwise. Hey, PulseX is still not his sack rate. So a lot of us believe that it will, but until then, that maybe sadness will still be around. But I'm excited. I was thinking about this day. I'm excited for a day when Pulse removes sack rate from the site, and nobody cares about it. Nobody remembers it anymore because it was so long ago, and the gains have been so far after that. It's not even relevant after that anymore. I look forward to that day if and when we get it. So it'll be pretty fun.
You mean it's not that day now?
I mean, depending on your perspective, it could be. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, that's actually a good question, Crispy. How do you think about sack rate as much, assuming you have skin in the game and sacked for it?
No.
How do you think about it?
Not at all. I mean, other people talk about it plenty. So when they hear it, of course I know about it and I see it, but that's not what I'm tracking. I'm kind of forward looking, not back looking.
Yeah. What is, I mean, I just want to hit up YellowCake and fast on this real quick too. What is interesting to note from that and the feelings around at least PulseX, the one that hasn't broken sack as of yet. I'll check Go Pulse. I don't think it happened today yet, but yeah, what do you guys think?
Well, I think that PulseX needs to pull its socks up if it wants to be competitive with other dexes on other chains and also on the Pulse chain. So give some utility to the Ink token. It's nice that Richard is buying it. Like, thank you, sir, for buying anything on our chain. But yeah, what does Ink token do? When does it stop being a dump token? Like, fix that problem and you fix PulseX. Add utility, add voting for pools, useful things, and maybe you fix it. Add limit orders and maybe you fix it. But right now we're looking at the same tired half-ass pancake swap fork. So not really excited about it.
To that I say good. I just wanted to add that note. Good. I said, who was I on the other day? Lit. I was on Lit Tank, and he was like, yeah, PulseX, Diamond feature, done all this stuff. And I'm like, good. I want it to be the lowest price ever. So when it does go up, it can do so many more X's. Well, no, I mean, I hear you, but that's my perspective as well. Go ahead.
Yeah. I got a different take on it. I mean, like Richard Hart, I think he would have that none of his coins should perish, So whether it's late to the party, but he's gonna ensure it all moves together. He's not gonna let one lag behind. So whether it's a couple tools in his tool chest, right, that he has, and so he's gonna have certainly gamification. At some point in time, he's gonna bring it out, and it's gonna do what it's designed to do, in the sense that all his stuff is he wants them all to pump. So he's not gonna just let it lag behind an old tech. That's my opinion.
Oh, 100%. Well, we're describing it as if the token is the same as the platform. And I know, obviously, the same name, connected strongly, but there are different things going on, right, between the platform and the token itself of PulseX. And I, for one, think it's a very slow rollout, I mean, would I have liked to have seen a lot more of the features like Fast Abdul said? Yeah, of course I would. But I can also see the genius behind not rolling out all features immediately.
Just the bridge too. I mean, the bridge, I talked about this the other day. It only supports Ethereum now. It's OmniBridge. It could support BNB, Polygon, all the other Gnosis chain, all the other EVM-like chains. So why does it only Ethereum right now? I know we have, community options and stuff for it too, but the official bridge, that has potential. I mean, that's like, why wouldn't it be added later, for example, if you think that, all these other features be added to PulseX. So that's kind of a cool piece. And also, I want to bring this up, as we'd say, pretty interesting how the OA had 0 ink. That's what everyone's talking about. You got to go Pulse, you sort by everything else, exclude OA, all that stuff. You don't have that with ink currently. There was no sacrifice for it. There's no AA otherwise. And now if they continue to buy proportionally with the other tokens, with the other 4 tokens, or the other 3 tokens been buying. Interesting. What do you guys think about the OA having ink? Does that change anything? Anyone have a strong opinion on that?
No strong opinion here.
I have a strong opinion about it. I love it.
Go for it.
I was giving everybody else a chance because you know how chatty I am, right? Anyways, yeah, I love it because I think that my analysis of the HEX ecosystem is the OA has been a superseding, stabilizing force, and whether everyone recognizes it or not, it's a very protective force in that, you know, newcomers cannot come in and just hurt us as badly as they might in other situations. And of course, there's lots of people coming in to join us. But anyways, I like the stabilization that it might provide by owning ink. That's ink that doesn't get dumped potentially, right?
I mean, that's what I think of when I think of it. I'm just like, the OA who hasn't dumped the other coins, hasn't dumped them to zero. If they got some more of the coin that's already leverage on PulseChain and PulseX, that's already been hinted as leverage, at least by Richard himself, I don't see any downside. It's one of those situations, if nothing else.
There is a downside, though, because other prospective whales can see this giant wallet that could, in theory, dump on their heads. So the same as the problems that I feel the HEX OA account causes, where it's basically gatekeeping other whales from coming into the community, because they don't want to interact with that giant wallet that could dump it to zero. If you create that with ink too, you just have the same scenario again. It'd be different if they were burning the ink tokens, but if the OA is just holding the ink tokens, that possibility is always there. Even if as Hexicans, we don't believe it will ever happen, hard to convince somebody from the BNB chain that is true.
How do you reconcile that with, you know, Satoshi's coins with Bitcoin, the OA with Hex, and if the OA starts owning ink? Is it, you think it'll always be in the back of people's minds? Yeah, whoever wants to.
Don't forget Binance tokens.
Sure. And let people like that argument, oh, Binance holds tokens and all this, but like Richard Hart is not Satoshi. You know, I know who he is, and you know, he talks live on camera sometimes. Satoshi's this mythical god figure that may or may not be alive. You know, Richard Hart is not. He's a guy. He might make mistakes. He might get hacked. We don't know, right? So there's not 100% certainty. And as like Hexicans, maybe we can have that 100% certainty. But to ask other people to have this belief, right? Faith, basically. We're asking people to have faith in the OA. I don't think that's reasonable. And I think making it go away, burning it, in the case of buying ink or Hex, would totally change the playing field going forward.
Crypto's not for everybody. That's for sure.
But I don't think like Richard necessarily wants people to have faith in necessarily anything other than, you know, he's got. I still, again, I'm not you know, parroting this 5D chess and all this kind of stuff. But one thing I do know about Richard is that he has game, and it's not necessarily always evident, you know, right at that point in time. But he's, you know, faith in the number go up. Like if he makes the number go up, then people can believe in that, and that's all that matters in his mind, right? So that's kind of the thing that where I have faith is that you know, I think that he's not going to let any of his stuff perish. And because of that, it's, you know, it's either going to live or die as a system, right?
I think that's probably, I think it's probably the lowest bar of faith you could have is, you know, if you believe he's in it for glory, the things he's doing to help the ecosystem would all make sense, and it wouldn't turn out the other way, at least in the most reasonable expectation, or I said expectation, didn't I? The most reasonable interpretation of his of what he's trying to do. So no, I love the fresh perspective. I love Faftables. Like, you know what? OA's not healthy and for every player in the ecosystem. Very interesting.
Right. Another idea is like, if we are speculating that the OA could buy the ink token, like maybe the less ink token the OA has, the better, because then you have more potential for the OA to buy even more ink token, right? But if the OA or maybe the stock funds already have the ink token, maybe then there'll be less potential buy pressure in the future for the ink token. So
would it be cooler if it just did stuff though, and so other people would have a reasonable reason to buy it based on, you know, math and stuff? That would be cool.
Yeah,
maths are cool. That's for sure. Hey, listen, I've enjoyed it. I can't wait to hear about the 2P HUX and about that. when we get into it, but because I really don't know a lot about that. But I can tell you with the incentive, I've been pretty happy with my farms, Abdul. I mean, it really is paid pretty well the whole time that I've been in, and I YOLO'd in that. I just went in and started doing it. The incentive token for me, particularly the incentive pools themselves, have been paying very well, and I have no complaints. But I recognize I could be trading my ass off and probably losing my ass too. But
Yeah, no, those farms have performed well in the last little bit. Obviously, you know, like the when you look at some of them, there's huge impermanent loss risk on things where paired with Pulse with USDC. Like that's maybe not where I'm guessing you are right now, but some people are going to be playing that. The pools like the HEX to Pulse pool, well, that's paying, you know, like more in a 30% range. Which is less, but you know, with the lack of impermanent loss between those two compared to pairing with any of the stable coins, it's still pretty viable. But we have, you know, sort of a range of 13 to 30% in the pairs that don't have huge impermanent loss, and then it goes up dramatically from there. So that's kind of the downside. And when you're looking at the ink token, is what you're getting paid in, and the only utility right now is hoping that a rich guy buys it. You know, that doesn't really tickle my fancy.
Yeah, like that you know 50-50 pool. That's the one thing. Like you know, give me a 90-10 you know Pulse stablecoin pool, a 90% you know 90% stablecoin. Or I mean, sorry, a weighted pool like that to protect the Pulse side of the upside and just sell a little bit as you're going up. You know, rather than have so much impermanent loss. And that's the great thing with the composability that you know other protocols offer over PulseX. So that's going to be one.
Yeah, these are all 50-50 pools because it's you know like a pancake V2 fork. So you have to put in 50% USDC, Ethereum, whatever it is, all things that are unlikely to go up at a similar rate to Pulse and HEX. So those pools in my mind right now are traps, and that's you know that's something that people. You know, if you're planning on exiting, maybe that's a good exit strategy. But you know, I would really avoid those pools right now.
Talking about the stablecoin?
Yeah, that's what he's referring to. I have to agree with you, Fast Abdul, because if you use a impermanent loss calculator and you do the numbers, like just put in like conservative stuff, you might change your mind immediately about being in those farms, right? So it's all about how much you're willing to put in. I mean, it's incredibly, you know, it's incredible impermanent loss if you see the ecosystem moon, right? Because you're basically losing your pulse for that, you know, whatever that other asset is. Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, after the pump yesterday, I think the stablecoin pools look less attractive to me. I'll say that.
I have some alternate pools I'd like to show you, Crispy, and get your opinions on. There's like just some different ways to approach this with the Fux exchange and with 2Fux, where you can really minimize the impermanent loss, but still participate in richer heart products or other really great tokens and teams in the community. But RH has great representation on the Fux exchange.
I'll say one more on Ink that I was thinking about too was I've always said I didn't think it was a dump token, or inherently it is, but I never thought it would manifest itself that way for the long run, because I believe it's key to the liquidity of the ecosystem, the key to the farms, and you know the promise of just you know all the liquidity stuff that we may see the devs and Richard and stuff doing. So it having less value would be less attractive to farms, and we see even from the pumps recently, you know, these that went up, all these used to be like under 100% or just slightly at it, even on the stable coins and otherwise. You know, I think these were in the 30s and 40s. The more the whole ecosystem is worth, the more the ink is worth, the more attractive the liquidity promise and stuff appears to be. And I think that's why it can't be worthless. It can't be.
And that's probably why he's buying the ink token. You know what I mean? Like it's probably like, you know, a major factor. Boost the APRs and boost the, you know, the perception of the mix.
Not a bad strategy.
Yeah. I got to tell you, I've dabbled with the DAI, the USDC, and the USDT. My opinion for having done that, knowing about the impermanent losses, it's a small segment. You know, I isolated a small segment and of my pulse that I wanted to put in there in the beginning, and I did that. But I did that right at launch, right? And so up until now, I haven't really had to worry too much about impermanent loss in that I was actually going the other way. I was getting more of the asset for quite a long time, right? When I first started, even though I was still getting paid the ink because it was going, you know, if we just say it was going down in that period of time after launch. So for that time period, it worked out pretty good. But now it's kind of like, again, talking about that, I did start looking at the impermanent loss. I said, well, am I willing to take the impermanent loss from here? You know?
Yeah.
A lot of my portfolio was, providing liquidity, but I think a week ago or so, I've taken a lot of my liquidity positions out because I don't want to experience the impermanent loss once things start going up, because then you could potentially miss out on those gains. So I'd rather have the gains from the price go up rather than the gains from the yield. So
you can have both if
Yeah.
you do it right. There's ways.
Yeah.
Tricks and ways and strategies, and I don't know. I mean, besides the silently selling, is there any other, before we wrap up on this, is there any other reason to participate in stablecoin pools when price of the other tokens going up, other than to eventually get the stablecoin, silently sell type of thing? Is there any other strategies around purely doing that?
I think there might be some long-term strategies, multi-cycle, that could make sense if your plan wasn't to entirely get all of your value out, at the cycle top. Because if you were to stay in, what happens during the bear? You accumulate back the other direction.
Or you think the ink is going to have a monster value and it's going to make up for it?
Well, yeah, and the whole time you will be earning ink. And ink in itself is kind of a game. The way I look at it anyways is to who can accumulate the most. And so if you're not accumulating ink and then using ink to get more ink, then you can't get ink, right? So.
But see, the composability of those pools, like the weighted pools, like I was talking about, like a 90-10 pool, for example, where you could have, say, 90% pulse and 10% stablecoin. And as that price of that pulse went up, it automatically rebalances to keep the value weighted. So you're still going to be selling a little bit on the way up if that's what you want, or you can tailor the pool to the size and manage your portfolio a lot more. There's a lot more variables to manage it than you would otherwise have. And so you can still get some really attractive yields and protect the coins that you like. So it's just a matter of finding the right fit.
I think it's an interesting comment. I know having permanent loss, I put in 1K PLS, 1K USDC as a constant ink generator, will leave this permanently. Do you think leaving 1K, or I guess 2K in a pool, will earn enough ink? I guess you're betting on ink being hundreds of dollars at some point. If I don't know how much that's going to earn, but probably not a whole lot. You may get a few ink over time.
Well, $1,000, it's 50% roughly right now, right? So it's $500 a year, a little bit more. You throw in the calculator, give you a better number.
Right.
Oh,
Right.
yeah, not 50%. It's higher than that. I'm sorry. I was thinking the other.
I think
So we
you
got
would to have that liquidity position permanently, right? Because at some point, if the pulse chain price goes up, like maybe 100%, 200%, the value will go from 50-50 to 0% pulse chain. So then you'd have to take that position out and put it in a new position, right?
Well, it wouldn't go zero, but it would get low.
Yeah. Oh, it wouldn't go to zero. Okay.
I guess if you have a high enough pool, yeah. Is this right? I mean, I guess you would over years' time if you stayed around 100%. I mean, I guess mathematically, yeah, you would be able to earn more than what you put in if the ink stayed at relative prices. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. Interesting. Good note, Ted Nelson. We'll have to do some more deeper dives on that. I did a bunch when ink was like 30, 40, $50. I was streaming on ink all the time. We were doing a lot of streams. A lot of impermanent loss, a lot of farming stuff. So yeah, there's some actually old streams may be helpful for understanding all the different calculations and impermanent loss, especially too.
Richard's going to have to buy a lot more ink to compete with 2Fucks though.
Don't test him. Don't test him.
I keep hearing about this 2PHUX, and I don't know what.
Oh yeah. Well, we got to start with PHUX first, right? Like what is a fuck? How do you give a fucks? Who wants to give a fucks?
We give more fucks.
So now I can say fucks. All right. Everybody else
Just
is going to say it.
to be clear, that stands for the Pulse Hex Universe Exchange.
Yeah, just say that.
Yeah,
For
yeah.
people don't know. So two fucks pointing towards the fucks exchange because we're built on top, so it just made sense.
FHUX.
Yeah, two PHX. Yeah.
Right. So yeah, you guys just brief, because I know, I've watched some of the streams. I know people are probably familiar with the ideal of what it is, but maybe just a brief introduction real quick. What is fucks? What is two fucks? Like, why is it something you guys decided to do?
Yeah.
Cool. So PHUX, the PHUX exchange is a fork of Balancer V2, right? Which is pretty much the most advanced DEX around, in my opinion. It has some really cool options. Like YellowCake was talking about, you can have weighted pools. So it doesn't have to be like 50-50 like Pancake Swap V2. You can have 80-20, which is a very functional concept, or you could have up to 8 pairs, like 8 tokens in one LP pair with varying percentages, right? So there's a lot of game theory, a lot of interesting ways you can do things, and it's made for communities and community members because you can participate with something that's an 80-20 pair that's 80% of one token like HEX, and then 20% of another very liquid token like, let's say, Pulse, where you can have mostly HEX and you don't have to put up that 50% Pulse or even USDC, whatever you're working with on the other side. So it kind of costs you less to participate in liquidity pairs and stay in the main token that you're most interested in to a much higher degree, which also minimizes impermanent loss, which is a kind of a cool side effect, especially if you involve things like stables in an 80-20 pair where you were 80% HEX and only 20% stables. You're going to have a lot less impermanent loss when HEX goes up and part of that gets moved into stables than if you're in a 50-50 pool. Now, that's not necessarily, I'm not saying it is the time to be in stables at all. But if you were to participate in something, I think you would be happier with that kind of mix. So there's some huge advantages there. And as far as the advantages of what the PHUX exchange brings to the Pulse chain is giving people a huge opportunity to participate in yield farming via providing liquidity in a huge, very safe and very sustainable way compared to most other options currently available on Pulse chain. Yield farming is interesting, and like we've looked at some of those PulseX pairs that are good, right? Like clearly, like having HEX paired with Pulse to get 30% APR in the INC token, like it's not terrible right now. But when we look at some of the options that we have on the Fox exchange, it changes it dramatically. Do you mind if I share my screen, Max? I have some stuff queued up that we could look at.
Absolutely.
So let's take a look at what's on Fox right now. All right. So this is the pools page where we can see all the pools, and you can see here at the top, there's some crazy percentages as far as what people are making on these tokens. And there's, some interesting pairs that are different than what you'd expect, right? As far as what's in a pair, like you can have like this up to 8 tokens. This one has 5 tokens. And you can have things that are different percentages, like this pair being 80%. This is RBC as a meme token, and 20% 2 other tokens, the Prime Fox and then Pulse. And you need that 20% for liquidity for it to be a functional pair. But the main thing is that people are making these huge APRs. So in this case, they're making between 77 and 193% APR to provide liquidity for a meme coin. And okay, it's a meme coin. There's some concerns there perhaps, but there's similar opportunities with like good Richard Hart tokens, and I'd like to take a look at a couple of those and see what you guys think of some of these pairs.
Real quick too, just had a couple comments. I think one's actually interesting to dive into too, because it's very related to this whole product and the ideal and stuff. So we talked about INC, dump token, PHUX. How do you reconcile PHUX as having this? What gives it value over, for example, INC or anything else? Do you think differently about it versus in the ecosystem?
Definitely. It has a huge amount of utility compared to the INC token. Like for one, it's giving people the ability to vote. Like it's effectively a DAO token. You're only voting on one thing, which is the only thing people are interested in, which is which pool gets the most yield. You vote on that by staking your PHUX token for up to a year. Then the second thing it does is providing people a boost of up to 2.5x on their yield, depending on how much PHUX that they have staked inside the ecosystem. So it has these two huge utility factors that are currently not present at all with the Ink token. So I would give the edge in this case. The only thing that it's missing versus the Ink token is a billionaire that's buying it spontaneously. If we can get that too, then it would be on top in every regards. So let's take a look at this pool. Here's a pool that's 50% maxi from the Pulse chain. So a 15-year tokenized HEX stake, along with the team token, which is another maxi product. It's a little more complicated. Basically, both these things are HEX paired together that can give you between 47 and 117% APR that without locking in any way. You can stake, unstake this LP token. You can liquidate it into the two tokens that you came in with, which are maxi and team. You know, like there's huge advantages on these, at least Richard Heart associated tokens here. Like basically we're pairing HEX with X, and you can get up to 117% APR just by doing that. And to bridge the difference between the 47% and the 117%, that's something that 2FUX is going to help people with, because to get to this number, you actually have to have a whole bunch of staked prime FUX, like FUX staked. And most people won't have enough on, you know, if they're really participating in this pool to get the 117%. But when you use the 2FUX front end, when it comes out in a month or so, you'll be able to use our very large permanent pool of prime FUX that's constantly staked for a year without having to have one yourself. And that will give people up to a 2.5x boost on their yield and get them to these higher numbers.
Well, there's, but there's even higher APRs. Like if I was to share my screen and show the 2FUX APRs on the same pools right now, then you would see the additional, so you get your boost basically, and then, oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there fast.
Go ahead.
I was just saying the APR numbers are built up. This is one factor of a couple components in the APR number on 2FUX. So there's the boost is one factor, but there's actually more things.
You're going to get additional tokens if that come from our ecosystem on top of the tokens you're getting from the PHUX exchange, just by staking the same LP token that you would stake on the PHUX exchange via the 2FUX front end. So for people already participating on the FUX exchange, they just need to press unstake, and then they'll restake via the 2PHUX front end, and that's the entire process for them. But I was curious about like what you guys thought, you know, as Hexkins about a pool like this. Like, how does this appeal to you when you look at this one, Crispy?
I like higher APRs for sure, or APYs.
And the concept of these two tokens, like the impermanent loss, does that kind of fit the bill as like something that would be minimized compared to, you know, some of those other more risky pairs?
Well, it depends. Well, I don't think I would use those particular ones, but yeah, we just think about other tokens. Sure. I mean,
another question.
I actually have a position over PHUX. So
Oh,
I mean, it's not that I haven't ever seen it or used it.
I mean, I think the biggest ththing people are taking a leap on is, I mean, look at the Ink chart, look at the PHUX chart. Like, are they going to, I mean, I know the whole ecosystem, when things go up, but again, the whole one doesn't have a lot of value, but also has, you know, billionaire buying it. This one has, I mean, don't get me wrong. I think the pooled version of everything is very interesting for Pulse chain products, but I think selling people on the product of, you know, PHUX, other than just using it for trading, amazing trading platform, and then 2FUX, which is, you know, the kind of a pulled version of that to maximize the returns and stuff. What makes the PHUX token go up and then I guess in a way related to that, I guess the leverage play, the 2FUX token on that, like what's going through people's mind when they're sacking for this?
Well, with the PHUX token, it does have that added utility, right? So people are still taking it as a yield token. So when you look at a chart, you have to understand that some people are selling this as yield. Like you can bring in a pair of something like, you know, the team one we looked at, or like that RBC token. Like you can be from a community that's participating and bring in an outside token, and then the token that they receive in exchange for participating is a PHUX token, and they can sell that, or they can stake it, they can do other things with it, they have choices. But to some degree, you're going to have that yield token effect, which has kind of made a bit of a straight line for the PHUX token right now. But over time, as it becomes more rare, as the emission becomes lower, we're going to see that the PHUX token will probably go up, and there'll be some added value there. And then with the 2FUX token, it's basically like a leverage play on PHUX in a lot of ways. And when we start talking about voting power and things like that, you end up with, you know, some additional options that aren't available both on, you know, PulseX and on the PHUX exchange. when we start talking about things like adding the bribe platform where you're going to be able to sell your votes, possibly to the place that you would have voted for anyway. We have a lot of additional income options that we're adding to, upgrade the community. And YellowCake, do you want to touch on the extra tokens?
Well, yeah. Well, actually, a couple things I want to touch on. One, we're getting ahead of ourselves a little bit. I just wanted to comment on the FUX token emissions right now. When FUX launched in, I believe it was June 7th, around there, somewhere in there. The first year of their launch, so 50% of the entire supply was reserved for future emissions. And 2FUX is going to follow that emissions curve. So in the first year, though, 20% of that entire future supply was emitted. So FUX is about to get a whole bunch more rarer come June when the emissions are cut down. So as well as the 2FUX protocol by its very nature. So as Fast was explaining, the Balancer V2 was the first to innovate and use an actual pool token as a governance token. So their governance token is actually a combination of FUX and Pulse pooled together in an 80-20 pair, and that is what's used to vote on the pools. So that's locked in the protocol in FUX.io for up to a year. But as an individual, it takes a large amount of resources to be able to get that higher end of the boost. So where 2FUX comes in is we're building this social aggregation layer. Basically, like how Magic Carpet Ride and other guys made these pools, so people could work together to achieve more. It's kind of the same principle. We're sharing our pool of voting tokens, so that all together we could all make more together than we would be able to do individually, otherwise on our own. And one of the key ways that that's achieved is when people come in and they bring in their FUX tokens. And this will speak to the tokens getting more rare, because essentially people bring in their FUX tokens and they mint the Prime 2FUX version, which is like a wrapper liquid staking version of that token. And so the Prime FUX becomes protocol owned, and it's forever locked in the protocol. It's a one-way swap, a one-way mint, and so that's going to be taken off the market forever. And it's going to become protocol owned, and anybody that uses the 2FUX front end, even without owning a single pooled protocol token, can come in and use the front end, route their liquidity through our front end, which points at the FUX.io pools, and then they're going to benefit from the large protocol owned liquidity. So then you might ask, well, why would you participate? Why would you want the tokens then? Well, there's where the magic starts to happen. There's three main components I like to say about the 2FUX protocol. There's the aspect of a liquidity provider, like I've mentioned. Even without owning a single token, you can come in, use the front end, and it might be a bigger benefit right out of the gate than just doing it on your own, because maybe you didn't have any locked Prime FUX or not enough. But then you come in and you benefit as though you're the wallet holder. So you're getting this boost right out of the gate, and then you start to look at these other parts as designed as a giant flywheel to encourage participation and for growth. So the other aspect, by having this large pool of votes, it's completely 100% in the hands of the lockers of the 2FUX token. So now you get a boosted yield return just by using the protocol, but also now if you lock some tokens, you could steer your proportional share of votes to your pool of your choice. And so then that further increases the APR for everyone in that pool, including yourself, as well as, like I said, when people come in and mint that Prime 2FUX token, that's what grows that pool of protocol-owned Prime FUX that becomes forever locked, and increases the amounts of emissions that the protocol controls. And like I said, if only 50% of the people are locking their tokens, they still control 100%, or they get to control 100% of the protocol-owned votes. So then when normally in FUX.io, you would be locked for a year, you'd stake your Prime FUX tokens for up to a year to get the maximum voting power. But here, you're basically, you're letting the protocol take on that load, and you're getting an instant liquid version of it. You're getting a wrapper token or a liquid staking version, which you could then go and market sell if you want, or you could do other really cool things with it. Staking it, for example, with no lock period, you could stake it on stake. And what that allows you to do is get the normal APR that you would from native staking, plus a lion's share of the protocol revenue and additional 2FUX tokens. So when you start to add this up, just by the way you would normally participate in Fux.io, it already makes sense just to participate in 2FUX because the math makes sense, right? So getting the same benefits. So it's designed to encourage this big snowball effect where the participants are, for the most robust experience, you kind of want to have your hands in all three of these aspects because they work together. So the main thing with the FUX token and the 2FUX token is pro rata 1-to-1 the emissions. So it'll be on the same emissions curve. And so you can have the same expected type of inflation in the emissions. But at the same time, like I said, these tokens are being taken off the market forever. Like Aura.finance, Fast Abdul was showing yesterday on another stream that they had over, I think, 54% of all the votes on Balancer V2 and on Balancer V2 on over on Ethereum. It's just incredible. So when you think about it from a value proposition of say owning 1% of the voting power on 2FUX from day one versus maybe from day 120 or when PulseChain is a year old, you're still going to be controlling an insane amount of voting power because it's designed to continually grow. So that's one last thing I was just going to say. So like the value of the token itself is not as much as what it represents, what it can do for you. So there's essentially like how much it costs to delegate or to get acquire one vote and point it at the pool. Sorry, who's showing that fast?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's the percentage of the votes that the protocol that we're forking, which is called Aura Finance, which is a fork of Convex. It has 56.62% of the total votes on Balancer, which is huge. Like we're talking about millions and millions of dollars a yield that's being moved around by this third-party protocol, just like 2FUX is. That is going to control where those votes go on Balancer on Ethereum. So we're setting up earlier and hopefully in the same timeline, which is less than 3 years for these guys. For us, it's probably going to be 6 months to 1 year, and we're going to be moving around this kind of voting power on the FUX exchange. So looking forward to that.
Can I quickly share some of the 2FUX APR page? Because since you pointed on that,
Fast showed them before.
The
2 minutes ago when we were looking at the Alex Maxi pool.
Yeah, no, YellowCake's got his own APR ones. He's actually running in the background live on PulseChain, sort of like a secret copy of 2FUX live, actually interacting with the FUX exchange. And he's got real APRs from a live protocol that just nobody can access right now.
Go for it.
Yeah,
like five more minutes and then
I'll just be real quick.
Zambonii's charts, but no, I definitely want to see this.
Yeah, is my screen visible?
Yeah.
So this is an example here. These are all the pools that you're going to find over on Fux.io. But what's really interesting is when you start to click on these expand tabs here. So this will show expansion of the window. It'll show the gauge boost, your current VAPR, which is comprised of 3 components. So you got your normal FUX rewards. And in this case, these APR numbers are still lagging because we deployed it and it takes a number of weeks for them to get up to for them to propagate. So 1.24x boost, which is probably closer to this 75% right now on the FUX rewards, plus the current market price of the 2FUX token that is not live. It's just this is our live net testnet token, plus your swap fees. Make up this the current APR number, which like I said, it's probably closer to right now it's probably closer to 150% on mainly stable coins, right? And this is during just the beginning of a bull market. So then you start to go to some of these other pools, and like I said, these numbers are still catching up to where they need to be. But essentially, like this one's a 2.5x a gauge boost, and again, that's going to be a factor of how much protocol owned voting power there is, plus the amount of liquidity that is in the pool. So as people kind of come in and dilute the pool, this number is going to change. But as you can see, like there's a few different components building up your fee, and some of these swap fees can be upwards of 10-20% on a day, right? So they're going to vary. They're dynamic numbers, but I'm really excited with the numbers we're seeing preliminary because these are live pools. Like this liquidity there's liquidity in the Fux.io pools. Like this is routed through our front end right now. And these are real numbers based on our our first iteration of 2FUX, which isn't, going to be our mainnet launch. So these values you can't take to the bank, but that explains you how it's going to work. And then this the staking page where you can stake and unstake your prime 2FUX tokens and mint them. And then the claims page where you'll have your rewards. I don't have my wallet connected right now. And then the lock page where you can lock and possibly even sell your votes to a third-party marketplace if you don't want to participate in governance.
That's one last question here. I want to get on it too. What does it mean for the little guy? And then also you talked about the teams being able to get a portion of the SAC and stuff to different teams. Just 1 minute on that real quick for the little guy and also for the whales that may want to participate.
Okay, so for the little guys, they're going to have an opportunity to basically stake like a whale. So like maybe I'm just guessing most people don't have $50,000 or $100,000 worth of FUX that's locked on the exchange staked for a year. Well, if that is the case, then you can come to 2FUX and you can use our very large pool of FUX that will continuously get bigger and never get smaller. That can never be sold and is always staked for a year. You can come use our $100,000, $200,000 worth of FUX, which could turn into millions of dollars in FUX in 6 months. And you use it like it's yours effectively and get that boost. So that's one of the main incentives. And of course, there's some extra tokens there and other things. It's a little bit more complicated than that, but you can stake like you're a whale. So that's huge. And then also, if you participate in the 2FUX ecosystem, you're going to be voting like you're a whale as well. Like right now, our sacrifice is at $310,000 or something like that. We have a cap of 2 million. People who participate in the sacrifice are going to get points. The initial holders of the 2FUX token are going to be the people who control a huge amount of votes that will vote like whales for a relatively small input for years and years to come. So there's incentives for little guys to participate on every side of the board. And then we get to the bribe thing. That's just something extra. And people on Ethereum are making between 3 and 10% of their bag a month in participating in the bribes, which you'll be able to do probably 3 times per month. You'll be able to get a separate bribe for voting for possibly a pool you would have voted for anyway. And that's something that the little guys are going to really benefit from. The big guys, like the real big guys, well, they're going to benefit from putting up the bribes. They'll make a bid in the form of a bribe. So there's huge advantage there. And you touched on, Max, our benefit for teams we have right now. So first off, we're in the last 3 days of our 25% early bird bonus. We're kind of winding down the sacrifice probably. We don't have the exact timeline, but as of Sunday, March 3rd at 1700 UTC, the 25% early bird bonus is over. So people want to keep that in mind. And then on top of that, we have what we're calling like a free team bonus for people who want to benefit a team on the Pulse chain. And we have a list of the teams that are participating, guys like Internet Money, Tetra, RBC Token, Texan Token, some other good teams that are participating in the protocol. You can tag a team by adding their 4-digit code to the end of your sacrifice, right? So let's, for example, with Tetra, the code is 1234. If you send in 1234 Pulse or just end whatever, including decimals with 1234, your entire sacrifice wallet is tagged for Tetra. It costs you nothing. That team will receive what we're calling locked points from a separate pool that comes from the team's points, not from the sacrificer's points. That team will never be able to sell anything, but they'll get possibly a permanent boost to their pools on the FUX exchange. So if you're participating in the 2FUX sacrifice and you want to tag a team like Tetra or Texan or Internet Money and provide them a boost to the pools that they have or will have on the FUX exchange, pools that you might be participating in, that could benefit you and definitely benefit those teams. And they'll never dump on your heads. Everything is locked in this regard. So it's, it's just something extra that we're trying to do to get participation from teams. We're trying to decide the people we're going to work with for the next 10 years. So, I want to work with guys like, Internet Money and Tetra. So that's why they have an option to get a boost in our free team sacrifice program. And we've set it up to not hurt the sacrificers. It's completely separate. So there's really no downside for people to do that.
Very good. Zambonii, you got TA for 10. I'm calling your segment TA for 10 minutes. 10 minutes, 10-minute TA. Love it, man.
All right.
Thanks, guys, for talking about 2F.
2F.
Excuse me.
You feel like you're cursing when you say it?
Yeah, I
don't-
can't.
I don't.
I'm having a hard
Yeah.
time saying two.
I don't do it. I think in my
Yeah.
mind, I think PH, so I don't even think about the cursing. It's not cursing if you think not.
Is my screen sharing?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I just want to say the 2 fucks sacrifice. I'm really excited for that because like if 2 fucks just gets like half of the TVL of fucks or something, or maybe even less than half of the TVL, a lot of investors use like the total TVL as kind of a metric for investing, right? So like if 2 fucks gets half of the TVL, then maybe it garners half of the market cap, and fucks is at like $17 million market cap, and the sacrifice is only at like 300,000, right? So I mean that seems like an easy 10x if you sacrifice. So I'm really excited for the 2 fuck sacrifice. But anyways, so here we're gonna go through just some charts. So this is kind of cluttered, but you can kind of see this purple line. It's kind of highlighted. This is called a fractal. You can kind of do that through where is it? Right here. It's called bars pattern on TradingView. But anyways, you can like copy and paste these bars patterns, and a lot of times this is kind of like astrology for men, but the reason why this typically works a lot of times, why price action kind of follows price action, is because the price is based off of emotions, based off of the investors psychology, and then also there's also the market makers. Sometimes you have similar market makers within different markets, and what they like to do is they like to kind of get traders in on one side and pull the rug and get the price to go to the opposite side, so they can get more, so they can lose more money. The market makers can gain more money. So a lot of times you'll have similar of these price structures in other assets, and they'll share these kind of these similar patterns. So right here, this fractal is actually from Metis. That's right here, and it's just been on a massive run recently. And fun fact, I think Vitalik's mother is like one of the founders for it. So basically what this chart is predicting is that Vitalik's mother is going to become a hexagon maybe. So no, I'm just kidding. That's a joke. But
Breaking news.
Yeah. So I have these weird vertical lines here just to show like where the fractal correlates to the price action. So you kind of see like these 2 tops here, and then it kind of falls down here, lessens the fall, and just shoots up. And then you have this pop up right here. And so right now we're probably in this range right here. So we have, this doesn't really show it, but I have this other fractal that shows like kind of the day-to-day movement. So I'll bring this up. This is the same fractal. It's just zoomed in on a different time frame. You can kind of see you have 3 taps off of this trend line here. 1, 2, 3 for Hex, and you also have the same thing for Metis right here. So we could be in this range right here, right before it breaks up. So that is pretty exciting. Yeah. Hopefully it's not too cluttered, but this line I kind of drew is based off of that fractal. So maybe we see Hex do something like this, maybe. But regardless, it's forming this heavy resistance right here. It visually shows, the sell wall, whatever people are talking about. But we might have to break through it and kind of find some support on that, and then we can, go up higher. But
I know a guy who might help us break through it.
Yeah. Yeah. So that is the Hex compared to the Metis fractal, which I'm really excited for. It's kind of lagging behind right now. It's behind schedule. I would have thought it would have gone up by end of this month, but it's behind schedule. But it should go up at some point. But so, and this is what's really cool. This is for Hedron. So this, I was able to actually time the bottom of Hedron with my own bag using this fractal. So this purple fractal is from Chainlink. So Chainlink was making this pattern. There's a lot of weird lines on this chart, but that's okay. So you can kind of see how these bottoms were formed very similarly. So you kind of have like this falling trend line here, and there's kind of 2 humps right here, and then it pops up. It looks like it's going to break out just like here, but then it comes back to make a double bottom. And I actually filled up my bag right here in these 2 days right here, and now it's pretty cool. But and this kind of goes up much higher, but understand that this is on a smaller time frame. So I'm not saying Hedron's going to go all the way up here, but at least to this range right here. I think that would be definitely a feasible target. And these fractals don't always, give the best time frames, and time frames can change. But if you were to assume that the time frame is going to, follow along, I can kind of line up this low with that low and this bottom with that bottom, and it could kind of predicts we'll probably get to conservatively up to, let's see, that would be almost a 2x, like maybe not a 2x, sorry, a 10x, maybe like a 6x by May, maybe. So that's pretty great.
The dip catcher algorithm also.
Oh yeah, so yeah, I use that sometimes. Like on the weekly, it definitely, yeah, there's your weekly conservative. It's on the conservative setting, so it's definitely saying that it's bottom. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, I don't like using this indicator that much. I like looking at it, but it's just so cluttered a lot. But it is predicting the bottom for Hedron for sure. So, but anyways, that's pretty cool. And then I have one also for PulseChain. Let's see. Okay, so I'm sure a lot of people have noticed this, but it looks similar to Bitcoin's price action. I'll just go on the daily. How about that? Okay, so this is on TradingView. It's the wrapped PulseChain version on Ethereum. So the chart looks really crappy, but when the price PulseChain topped out at, let's see, was, I think it was like 0.29. Let's find it. Well, I use this Fibonacci, and the PulseChain technically topped out at 29, so 0.00029. So I put the top of the Fibonacci here, and then goes to the bottom, and then you have your Fibonacci levels, and then you have your 4.2 all the way up here. So anyways, what happened to Bitcoin is after it made this consolidation, and this is COVID right here, it went up all the way to its 4.2. So if PulseChain does the same thing, well, here, let me just move this out of the way so you kind of see better. But you can kind of see the similarities. You crash, you kind of have your ranging. You're making a range, and then you break straight through the range right here. It's very similar price action. It's not exact, and the price levels aren't exact, but the characteristics of the price action is pretty similar. You have this calculation, and you kind of have, I have this kind of schematic of showing what the price is doing. It breaks down, retests the resistance, makes a higher low, retests the resistance, higher low, and then break out. So it did exactly.
Quick question.
Yeah.
Quick question too from Foxmoder. What's the link between Metis and HEX? Hedron a link. Why would someone else's fractal be replicated by other token when unrelated?
Oh yeah. So it's just price action. So price action is based off of investor psychology and emotions. So humans are trading this price. Humans are also trading this coin. So it's not really anything that is correlated in terms of like the technical correlation of the two tokens. It's just the price chart. You have traders in every market, right? So yeah, there's not really any correlation besides the fact that maybe Vitalik's mom is a HEX skin. I'm just kidding, but I
hope so. His mom, his cat, his all of his him. Can we get Vitalik as HEX? I'll take him.
So, and this is interesting. I kind of lined up the bottom of Bitcoin with the bottom of PulseChain, and this point right here, in that range with PulseChain, and it also kind of corresponds almost closely with the COVID recovery with this pump right here. And you kind of also have this hump before it retests support and breaks out. So we could be on the cusp of that breakout right here. And going all the way up to the 4.2, which would be 2 zeros and 11. So that would be a bit less than 10x from here. The way I kind of visualize these Fibonacci levels is they're kind of like magnets. So once you have these Fibonacci levels above you, they kind of pull the price up to these levels. But then once you get past the last one, you don't have anything else pulling yourself up. So there's no more bullish magnet for you to go up higher. So once you get up to here, that's when you probably, as a trader, if you're trading these markets, you probably want to take profit here at the 4.236 extension. But if you're holding long term, then if you don't need to sell, then you don't have to worry about selling. But if you're like leveraged up, if you have loans you have to pay off, that's when you'd want to take profit at the 4.236.
What if you're holding out for the 10,000x?
Then
asking for a friend.
Then you don't sell. Then you diamond hand it, baby. But yeah, so that is PulseChain. So we went over HEX, PulseChain, and Hedron. And I also have just some examples of fractals. This is earlier in the HEX chart with the Metis. And I was like, I was able to identify this was like a local top, and I would need to come back, but it came down a bit lower than I thought, and it stayed down here a lot longer than I thought. But this is like a picture. You know, these are all pictures from a long time ago. This was a couple months ago. Another example. So this is the chain link chart that was the fractal from. This is also showing like a 7-wave crashing structure. It's not Elliott waves, but it's just something different. Something coined by blockchain backer. He calls it the 7-wave crashing structure. You have your 1, 2, 3, 4, and then your 5, 6, 7. So your 6 has to backtest your wave 4. It's kind of hard to show on this one, but it's not that important. It's just I wanted to show what the chain link chart looked like when this was back when it was at $5 to $8, so in that range. And this is when I bought a bunch of Hedron, not a bunch, but like what I could by using that chain link fractal. This is just another example of a fractal playing out. This is on the stock market. This is a stock called Flux. They do like electric vehicle, like for construction people and stuff like that. So you had like this interesting rising. No, it's called Flux. FLUX. It's like a electric company. They do electric vehicles, electric machines, stuff like that. It's a stock, but you can see it was making very similar price action to Ethereum back in the bear market and Bitcoin in the recent bear market. This was the FTX collapse. This was the what's it called? Terra Luna collapse, and then it came back down. And then right here, I was like, oh wow, that's making very similar structure as this triple bottom. And I was like, so I bought some, and then the next next few weeks, it went up straight up like that to this level. So that's just an example of how these fractals can play out, even though they're completely separate markets. There's a price chart and there's traders, there's human traders. So that's how a lot of things can play out. This is really interesting. This is the Cardano chart from a few weeks ago. And this is a fractal from Ethereum Classic. And I don't know too much about the market makers on each side, but I've heard that the market makers of Ethereum Classic are similar to those of Cardano, but it's making very similar structure as Ethereum Classic. So at this point, this is kind of like a schematic that they're both doing. You have your bottom, you come up, make a higher high, your capitulation, or some people call it the spring, and you correct back up. You kind of make a rolling bottom, a rounded bottom, and then you start your massive run up here. Same thing here. You go up, correct, have a higher high, basically capitulation, rounded bottom, and Cardano is probably going to do something like this in the next 4 months or something. It's going to get pretty crazy, I think. All those. What's that?
I was going to say shout out to Ethereum Classic, the real Ethereum.
Yeah, exactly. So, anyways, this is what you might be able to expect for Cardano, is like some massive green candle, because and that can only be good for Hex and PulseChain, because a lot of that money, the more money people make in the mainstream crypto, the more money that can flow into our system and our ecosystem. So, and this is an example of a fractal being used on the NASDAQ QQQ, triple Qs. So this is the Bitcoin fractal. We all know this, the China FUD, and then comes up. Yeah, so the circles kind of correspond to each other. You have your triple bottom, you have this kind of ranging sideways, and then you have your ABC correction, ABC. And I was like, oh, this is probably going to go up to here, probably new highs. And Bitcoin made, a newer high, and then it'll probably retrace back down. And so this is what happened to it. It followed my line exactly, broke out of that wedge from the ABC and got to new highs, just like Bitcoin did. Yeah, and of course, the price can only follow the fractal for so long. It's another example. The XRP, this fractal is from earlier, and then it's doing very similar stuff. It has like a head and shoulder, and then on a larger head and shoulder pattern, breaks up. And I was like, and so I drew that line. I was like, oh, it's probably do something like that. And then sure enough, it did. And went all the way up here. That's this part right here. So yeah.
Very cool.
This part is right there. And then, there's just some other fractals that I was using. This is like from Kava. So it's just kind of random, but there's another example is how you can use these fractals. I see a lot of people use fractals. They kind of just put like they do stuff like this. They put their fractal. Let's see if I do this like this. Oh, it's gonna do something like this. It's gonna go up like that, or like it's gonna dump because it's gonna go dump like that. But that's not how you use the fractals. You have to compare the price action and see where they line up, and then you can kind of speculate on if it's going to continue or not.
In the same time frames too, yeah.
Well, it doesn't really matter what the timeframes are. No, I don't think they have to be the same timeframes. Like for example, for the Hedron one, this was like this is a daily time frame for Hedron, but the fractal I was using, that's like a 4-hour chart. Like this was like this all happened within 2 weeks or something. So this was on a much smaller time frame, and that's why I say like Hedron's probably not going to get all the way up to this. That's not what this is predicting. I just have this on there just for for show. But
I'm glad I don't do TA. Too many lines, too many fractals.
Yeah, but in my opinion, like I mentioned earlier, I think using fractals and price structure and price characteristics is going to be more effective, more reliable than just traditional TA, because all these market makers are going to try to invalidate your traditional TA. So that's why I really like using these fractals, and a lot of times they work out. So, but this just means good news for the HEX ecosystem, PulseChain ecosystem. And so I'm really excited for that. And it can only be done with people keep building like you guys, and I think we have a good future ahead of us. So I'm really excited.
Cool, man. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing. I got one more thing I'll pull up, and then we'll call it a stream. I think I hear myself. Zambonii. Boom. Okay. I don't hear myself anymore. That's cool. Chrispyman. You get the reaction. You haven't talked for a while. Yeah. Actually, I'm gonna skip you now. You just talked. No, I'm just kidding.
That's good enough, man.
I think this was interesting because I've been talking about the whole yield and buy, the whole DAI stuff, and will the money we make from will the money the sacrifice wallets and otherwise invest on ETH, will it be used as yield to then buy the tokens perpetually at a certain time frame or otherwise? Somebody tweeted about it as well. Deposited 200 million. I tweeted about it this morning too. I think Storyteller tweeted. I didn't even see his. I got an alert. I tweeted about it, and then I saw Money Gang cover it too. But yeah, what do you think?
I think it's fun to speculate, but I don't, unless somebody knows exactly what's going on, you can't really know, right? Until we see it, and we got to go follow the facts.
Give your best speculation.
As much as everybody else, yes, it's going to be an extreme buyback of all.
No, you're being hyperbolic now. You're being hyper. I just want a little bit of buyback over time perpetually.
Here's the unhappy one. I'll give you the other. The objective is to generate income to pay devs and hosting costs, which can be very expensive. How about that?
It's not as exciting, but I'll accept it. I'll accept it.
Fail.
Hey, all speculation is welcome. It could. I mean, you could be like, well, why is it not in PulseChain? Why is it not bridging over to do cool stuff in PulseChain? Why are we even on Ethereum anymore? I thought it's too much gas fees. Like, what's going on? Like, you could. There's a lot of different angles on that too. But my comment was, $2 million at buy pressure sounds like a good man. Imagine, because there's so many different pockets of money that comes from. And what if they all just keep adding up to over time? Oh, maybe it's first 1 million, then 2 million, then 5 million, then 10 million. A year from now, we got $20 million of buy pressure every month or every week, or whatever sounds good, whatever numbers make sense from yield. Ethereum is helping PulseChain. I don't think it's too crazy to have some version of that. Honestly, I don't think it's. I mean, there's speculation which is just like, hey, this is not based on anything, but there's speculation that's like, what are the other things that make sense? This makes more sense than many things. I would say that. That's my type of speculation. I like.
Sure. I like the idea.
5D chess.
Hey, you know what? A lot of people get 5D chess. The bad end of the stick. But I'm like, if there's one guy can do it, it may be this founder. Like, if there's one guy who's out there trying to 5D chess people, his previous actions.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think there's something to it.
Yeah, agree there. 100%.
Bullish on the PulseChain ecosystem? You guys bullish?
Yeah.
Sure. Oh yeah.
And that's one of the things about, having been able to spend time with Richard Hart, very early on, is really got to know the guy, and I mean, he's a fighter. Like, he's a competitive fighter. He's not going to roll over. He's not the type that's going to roll over, but he's like, it's going to be on his time, and it's going to be, and he's out there to win. That's a certainty. So we're all on his coattails. We're in a good place.
Last question here. Bitcoin breaks 69K before the halving. Do we see billions of dollars rotating crypto? What do you guys think? Ignore the results. What do you guys think? In 10 words or less. Could be one word.
I think we get two altcoin seasons, double altcoin.
Double tops.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, if history's going to repeat, yeah, it's going to rotate, baby. We're getting people are going to take their profits and go and speculate some more.
Yep, 2 times.
2 times. Everything's 2 now. Everything's 2 themed, right?
That's right. 2 fucks.
Double fucks.
Boosted.
Double top.
Boosted top.
Crispy. Boosted top. Nice. Crispy. Any thoughts on the bread and butter Bitcoin?
Yeah, take my mute off. Hey, I'm waiting to see what's going to happen. I'm hoping it fools around a little bit here. Maybe has a little pop before the halving, but then cools off. That's what I'd like to see. But I know it might go the other way. So up or down.
We've been beaten down so long. It's hard to think about it going up. Honestly, like I'm very.
Yeah.
I feel that.
Well,
too.
I wanted to delay because I think we'll get. We have an opportunity for higher gains if there's a delay. So to off top, that is.
Zambonii, any Bitcoin love or otherwise?
Well, I think if Bitcoin keeps going up like this, I think it's going to take a lot longer for all that money to rotate into our system, the Richard Hart system or the PulseChain ecosystem. But as Crispy was saying, if Bitcoin can just go sideways here, make a range, the distribution range, then that's going to be really bullish for us. I think what happened last cycle was like Bitcoin topped out at 65K. Richard Hart said his top signal, and then that's when HEX really started pumping. So until Bitcoin goes sideways, I don't think we'll see those fireworks. But as the fractals were showing, this is imminent. We're going to go up pretty soon. So hopefully Bitcoin goes sideways here. But we'll see. Everyone's really bullish. Everybody's super moon boy on Bitcoin. So
it is the ones the bug eaters have chosen, as some you might say. Yeah. Well, I guess that and link. He also says that link in different ways. Anyways, gents, great stream. Great. This has been your HEX PulseChain ecosystem live, the first rebranded open mic, a little less open, a little bit more organized, scheduled otherwise. But yeah, nice to meet YellowCake. Nice to see Zambonii, and of course,
yeah, thanks.
got the regulars, Chrispyman, and Fast has been on a couple times already as well. So good to see you guys again. Go from top to bottom. Get the last word. What do you guys want to take us off on in 30 seconds or less? It's got to be under 30 seconds, or I'll cut you off immediately. I'm just kidding. I won't do that, but just quickly.
Yeah, just happy to be unlocking higher yields and boosted returns for the PulseChain ecosystem. Thanks for having us.
Pretty sweet. I'm glad to be here. Thanks. Hexfire.io. Launching a new website probably early next week, towards the end of next week. You come check it out. Meanwhile, you can go check out the site. You get a chance.
Boom. Fast Abdul, any bribes or brides?
Well, I think the alpha here, the takeaway is that we all agree that Richard's going to burn the HEX OA account and build a museum. That's what we're looking at. That's probably his plan. So
second museum.
We didn't get to cover it. Damn it. I was going to have the conversation on the pros and cons of burning the OA coins. Oh, next time maybe we'll do that.
Thanks for having us, Max.
Of course. Zambonii?
Yeah, thank you so much for having us, Max. This was a hoot. But yeah, I think go sacrifice 2 fucks. That's gonna be a really cool opportunity, and I'm excited to see what you guys pull off with 2 fucks. And yeah, I'm just excited to be here in the space. I think this is a lifetime opportunity, so that's why I'm here.
Greatest ecosystem on earth. Awesome. All right, everyone. That's all we got for you today. Scivive and 5555. We are out.